He never said much, just ordered toast, counted his coins twice, and sat quietly in the same spot every Thursday evening. Clara, the waitress, had started calling him Kiddo. He always gave a shy smile, but never shared a word about his life. Then one day, he didn't show up. And the next week, he was still gone. On the third week, Clara found a crumpled note tucked under the sugar jar. At first, she thought it was a scribbled receipt. But when she opened it, her hands started shaking. And by the time she finished reading, she was crying right there at the counter. This is Stories Unfolded. And today we're sharing the story of a quiet boy, a folded note, and the kind of heartbreak you never forget. Clara Jensen was the kind of waitress who remembered your order even if you hadn't been in for 3 months. Double hash, no onions, extra ketchup. She'd have it ready before you sat down. But what most people didn't know was that she wrote it all down. Every order, every tip, every birthday, in a little leather notebook she kept in her apron pocket. She was 42, had worked at Marty's Diner for nearly 15 years, and could carry 4 plates on one arm without spilling a drop of coffee. The regulars called her Sunshine, though her smile had a quiet sadness tucked behind it, like someone who had learned how to survive, not just how to smile. Clara lived in a second-floor apartment above a used bookstore that smelled like dust and lemon polish. Her daughter, Sophie, was 17, and already talking about colleges that Clara couldn't afford but would find a way to make happen. That's just the kind of woman Clara was: quiet strength, unshakable loyalty, and the kind of kindness that didn't ask for attention. Life had worn her down, but not hollow. Her husband, Mark, died in a car accident 8 years ago, leaving her to raise Sophie alone. Since then, Clara had lived on tips, instant coffee, and willpower. She didn't have time to feel sorry for herself. There was always another shift, another customer, another night of homework to help with. The diner, Marty's, was the kind of place with peeling linoleum and a bell over the door that only worked half the time. But it was home, for Clara and for the people who needed somewhere to sit that didn't judge them. Drifters, truckers, lonely retirees, young couples, and broken hearts all passed through those red vinyl booths. And Clara welcomed every one of them the same way, with a hot plate and a warm voice. It was on a Thursday afternoon right before the dinner rush when Clara first noticed the boy. He came in alone, small for his age, thin arms poking out from a faded hoodie, sneakers that had seen better years. His hair was uncombed, and his backpack looked like it had been through a war zone. But what struck Clara most weren't the clothes or the silence. It was his eyes. Big, dark, and tired, in a way no 11-year-old's eyes should ever be. He walked up to the counter, glanced at the menu without really reading it, and softly asked, "Just toast, please." Clara didn't blink. "Butter or jam, kiddo?" He looked confused. "Just toast." She brought it out on a chipped plate with 2 packets of grape jelly on the side. He nodded once in thanks and ate slowly, like someone trying to make each bite last. When he was done, he counted out quarters, dimes, and a few nickels. Clara pretended not to notice when he came up 10 cents short. She took the coins, gave him a wink, and said, "Next time, you owe me a story." The boy didn't smile, but something in his shoulders softened. He came back the next week. Same time, same order, same quiet. And then again, and again. Clara started calling him Kiddo. He never corrected her. He never gave his name. But every Thursday, he came, sat on the same stool, ate the same toast, paid in change, and left with the same quiet nod. He became part of her Thursdays, like the smell of fried onions and the sound of old rock music humming from the jukebox. She never pried, never asked where he came from or where he went after, But each week, she added a little something extra to his plate. An extra slice of toast, a few fries from the basket no one finished, a slice of pie, if it looked like it was going to be tossed anyway. Kindness, she figured, was something you did quietly. The real kind never needed a spotlight. And then, one week, he didn't come. The first Thursday he didn't come, Clara told herself not to think much of it. Maybe he had a cold. Maybe he finally had somewhere better to be. Maybe, hopefully, someone in his life had stepped in. But when the second Thursday rolled around and the stool near the end of the counter sat empty again, she felt it. That quiet ache, that invisible weight people carry when they notice something's missing but can't name what it is. By the third week, she started looking at the clock every 5 minutes from 4:45 on. She still prepped his toast at 5 o'clock just in case. She placed it on the counter out of habit, steam rising in little swirls, and waited. At 5:20, she sighed and tossed it. This time she didn't hide her disappointment. "Friend of yours?" asked Marty, the owner, who rarely spoke unless it was about the grill or the weather. Clara nodded, unsure what else to say. That night, when the diner was nearly empty, Clara wiped down the counter like she always did. Slow, methodical, lost in thought. She worked her way toward the end, the spot the boy always sat in. That's when she noticed it, tucked behind the napkin dispenser, half hidden beneath a packet of salt. A crumpled piece of lined notebook paper. At first she thought it was trash, someone's scribbled shopping list or a child's doodle. But something about the way it was folded, careful, not torn, made her pause. She picked it up. It was warm, still slightly damp from a spilled water glass earlier. She unfolded it carefully, smoothing the creases with her palm. The writing inside was faint, done in pencil, a bit shaky. It wasn't long. "Dear lady at the diner, I don't know your name, but you always called me Kiddo, so I like that. Thank you for the toast. And the jelly? And the fries once. That was the best part. I didn't want to not say goodbye, but I didn't know how. My mom went to sleep 2 days ago, and she hasn't woken up. Some people came to our house and took me. I think they're going to move me again. I don't know where. I just wanted to tell you that when you talked to me, it felt like I was still a person, not just a kid people forget. I don't know if I'll see you again, but thank you. Jaden." Clara read the note once, then again, and again. Her hands trembled by the time she reached the last line. The pencil had smudged near the bottom, like maybe it had been written in a rush, or maybe there had been tears on the page before her own ever touched it. She set the paper down like it was something sacred and leaned against the counter, one hand over her mouth. The diner was quiet. Even the jukebox had stopped. She wasn't the kind of woman who cried easily. Life had hardened her in some places, softened her in others. But right there, in the flickering, fluorescent glow of a tired little diner, Clara Jensen cried. Not loudly, not for show, just quietly. For a boy she barely knew. For the mom who never woke up. For all the kids like Jaden who slipped through the cracks and still managed to say thank you. She didn't say anything to Marty that night when he came out from the back. She just handed him the note. He read it, blinked hard, and put a hand on her shoulder. That was it. No big scene. No dramatic music. Just two people feeling the weight of something they couldn't fix. But Clara wasn't the type to do nothing. The next morning she made calls, shelters, child services, schools. She didn't have much to go on. No last name, no address, just a first name and a memory. But she kept calling. The calls didn't go far. Most places had rules, policies, privacy protocols. Clara heard the same phrases on repeat. "I'm sorry, ma'am, we can't give out information on minors." "Do you have a last name? A case number? Is he a relative?" She tried not to get angry. The people on the phone were just doing their jobs, but it still felt wrong, like caring about someone wasn't enough anymore. You had to prove it on paper. She even drove to the school down the road, the one Jaden had walked past every Thursday. The secretary offered a polite but tired smile and said, "We don't have any new students by that name. I'm sorry." Clara kept the note, folded it neatly, and placed it inside her little leather order book. Where she used to scribble his toast order, she looked at it sometimes after her shift, usually when the diner was quiet and the streets outside were dark. The stool at the end of the counter stayed empty for a while. She didn't fill it, didn't offer it to regulars, and if someone did sit there, she served them, sure, but never smiled quite the same way. Weeks passed, then months. One day in early spring, when the snow had finally melted and the diner windows were cracked just enough to let in the breeze, Clara got a letter. No return address. Just her name on the front in shaky handwriting, pencil, faint and familiar. Inside, folded between two sheets of notebook paper, was a photo. A young boy stood in the middle of a small garden, holding a plate of toast in one hand and a crayon drawing in the other. He was smiling, really smiling. She unfolded the drawing. It was crude but sweet. A woman behind a diner counter with a name tag that said Sunshine and a speech bubble that read, "Jam or butter, kiddo?" Below it, in the same uneven handwriting, were just 5 words. "I found my safe place." Clara didn't realize she was crying again until the letter started to blur. There wasn't much else. No address, no details. Just that photo, the drawing, and proof that somewhere out there, Jaden had landed on his feet. She walked to the register and pinned the photo beside an old black and white picture of her late husband and a faded recipe card from her mother. She left it there, tucked near the tip jar, where people could see it, but not too easily. It wasn't for display. It was a reminder that sometimes the smallest acts, a smile, a plate of toast, a few extra fries, ripple in ways we never expect. That even when we don't know we're being watched, our kindness leaves a trail. Jaden had found his safe place. And in a way, so had Clara. Some stories don't end with headlines or heroes. Some end with a quiet thank you, a folded note, and a boy who felt seen, even if just for a moment. This was Stories Unfolded, because even the smallest kindness can echo longer than we ever imagine.